And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Women of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we are responding to a video from Aba and Preach. If you haven't seen them before, they're a pretty cool channel, and they did a video which was quite a while ago called She is Preaching, Why Many Will Never Find a Partner. So I thought this would be a fun one to watch, and let's get going.
Lori is here. She is the author of Marry Him, making the case for settling for Mr. Good Enough.
The book is based on a survey where men and women were asked if they got 80% of everything they want in their ideal mate, would they be happy with that? And women said, no, that's settling. And men said, 80%, I'd be thrilled, that's a catch. And so
80% to the women you surveyed?
Interesting. Author, Marry Him, the case for settling for Mr. Good Enough.
Is settling?
That's settling because, the question is, what actually makes us happy in long-term romantic love? And, that's the question that I explore in the book. And I'm a journalist, so I went out and I asked neurobiologists about chemistry, and I asked behavioral economists about demographics, and I asked marital researchers.
What are women too picky about here?
Well, I'll tell you, men and women were asked what would be a deal breaker for going on a second date. And men named 3 things. They said she has to be cute enough. She doesn't have to look like Angelina Jolie. She just has to be cute enough. She has to be warm and kind. And she has to be interesting to talk to. Those seem like really valid criteria.
Ding, 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 ding. Pretty simple.
Right. Okay, reasonable, right? The women came back with 300 things that would rule out a guy for a second date. And we're talking about like another 2 hours and maybe a free dinner. And they wouldn't do it. And there were things like he wore a brown belt with black shoes. Or we were having a really good time and I thought he was cute and he was interesting. But then he did this Austin Powers impression. And I just can't get that out of my mind and I can't go out with him again. Austin Powers guy could be the love of her life. If he does these impressions on the second date, okay, don't go on a third. But maybe he was just nervous. The guys who are bad first daters might be great life partners. You don't know.
Bars.
I ain't got nothing to say.
Let me just let her preach.
She said she.
Hey, you got nothing to say.
Let me make the other argument. You have to have.
They had nothing to say. I got some things to say because women are wired in such a way that they want the absolute best possible man that they can get. And the reason why a lot of women are picky, and it is true, it is fact, it's science, okay, is because very often they've been with someone who is better than the ones that they're dating now, okay? This is the problem of women beginning to date without restrictions, okay, and just simply being on their own in high school, dating guys, okay? And what will happen is that they'll find guys that they really like, and usually those are the guys that might be temporarily, maybe, perhaps interested in them, and then those guys are not interested in them anymore because they found a lot of other girls to be with and that are interesting. So these girls end up pining for the guys that they almost, maybe, could have had, but they ended up not getting. And sometimes they've slept with that guy, which means that the guys in the future that they want to be with need to be at least at the same level as that guy that she almost had the opportunity to be with, but that she didn't get. The guy in the future that she's gonna be with for the rest of her life, which is a long-term commitment, he needs to be at least better than everyone that I've had. And what ends up happening is that she picks the best qualities of all of the guys that she's been with, and then she tries to find that guy, okay? Now, she's talking about who women will be settling with. And the thing is that women in their 20s won't settle. That's not even an option. And since they actually decide when they want to get married these days, right, which they should and should be allowed to do. I mean, it's a free world. Women should be free to do whatever they want, whenever they want, right? But the thing is that this society has moved towards now women settling at a lot later age than what was normal in the past, which ends up causing women to bargain, so to speak, to get the guy that they're going to settle with for life. He's going to be less valuable than pretty much all of the other guys that she's been with because her value to the table has declined over time. Just simply because of baggage, because of trauma, because of age, because of masculinity developed over time from rejection and from career, etc., etc. But the hindbrain of the woman, which is the evolutionary need to find a man that's higher value than her, that's one, but also higher value than all of the other guys that she's been with in the past, she's going to be extremely picky. And this is not something that we as men should be complaining about, because we as men are the ones that have initiated sexual relationships with her that has caused her to be extremely picky over time. If women had not been initiated into the bedroom at an early age, women would be way less picky because they'd be having FOMO. They'd be having fear of missing out. They'd be like, all of my friends are getting married and getting hitched and I'm not. And they end up not settling, but choosing then the best possible partner that they can get at the proper and correct, in my opinion, age to get the best value for their buck, so to speak, right? Because it's in their early years between age, especially between age of 20 and 22, 23, that women have the best value proposition to offer to a man. Now, monogamy is a different subject. We'll talk about that in a sec, but that's what I'd respond to what she's saying here. So women aren't settling. It's not their fault. They're not to blame. Those that are to blame is the father for not helping her to stay, so to speak, not sexually initiated, okay? The father is responsible for her until she becomes of proper age, okay? Once she is of proper age, she's basically on her own in today's world, and she's going to be initiated by someone. That's a problem if that guy is not going to stick around for the long term, because it causes these sorts of problems where us, okay, society begins to blame women because they're so picky, they're so difficult, and no one wants to marry them, and we end up, collapsing as a society because there's no families functioning. Okay, just saying, but women are designed in a proper, correct manner to get the best possible man that they can get, but not only that, but to make sure that he becomes absolutely amazing over time. Okay? Women just want to see progression, that he's becoming her god. Okay? They want to see that. And it is possible. It's just that men need to step up and become those men.
Have a list, Lori. You have to. You just can't run around dating any Tom, Dick, or Harry. You have to develop a list,
but you have to have the right things on your list. They have to be the right things. The character things, is he kind? Do we have the same life goals? Do we have the same values, the fundamentals? Do we enjoy each other? How do we communicate with each other? Somebody said to me,
I gotta stop her right there. She's a woman. Yet, we know, or at least this is my experience, that women are designed to follow their emotions, okay? So their emotions is controlling them in a specific or certain direction, not their brains, okay? Now, you'd think that maybe they'd use their brains in order to make selections, but if you look at who women choose on a general basis to date, you'll notice that they use their heart and their emotions a lot more than they do their brains, okay? No offense to their brains, okay? It's just that emotions in women overpower rationality every single time, especially in the romantic sphere of their lives, okay? And that's my experience with women, that you can't tell them specifically who to date and give them the specific, he should be kind and he should be this and yeah, blah, blah. Do you understand that women are not interested in nice guys, right? We've noticed that again and again and again, that nice guys finish last. So what are they interested in? They're interested in the guy who has power over her emotions, unfortunately. And usually the guys that have power over her emotions are the guys who don't want to be with them, but kind of is dabbling around, maybe I'm interested. Those are the guys that women are like, oh my gosh, I wish I could get some more time with him, right? Which is a problem because we don't need that. We don't want that. It destroys women, Okay, because then women begin to follow those guys because that's what their emotions and heart is telling them to do on a continual basis. And then that guy rejects her, and then she continues to desire him, or another dude that rejects her on, somewhere else at another time. Okay? You can't use your brain very often to choose who you're gonna be with. So you need to be in an environment where the only guys that you ever speak to are guys that would be suitable for the long term. One of the reasons why I tell you to not go to school is because you'll be in the vicinity with guys who are your age, who have most probably mediocre mindsets, and who actually can manipulate your emotions in order for you to get into bed with them, which causes a problem because now you might become emotionally attached if he rejects you, which is a problem. Okay, so let's keep going.
This woman that I was really interested in wouldn't go out with me because I didn't read the same books that she did. But she's madly in love with this guy who reads the same books, but he doesn't call her when he says he will.
What are your thoughts?
Oh, did you just notice what she said? Let's hear it one more time.
Each other. Somebody said to me, this woman that I was really interested in wouldn't go out with me because I didn't read the same books that she did. But she's madly in love with this guy who reads the same books, but he doesn't call her when he says he will.
So the guy that she wants reads the same books as the guy that he reads. It's not the same books as the girl, but she's interested in that guy because he doesn't call her. You see that? You see the difference? Okay? What's the difference? The difference is power. The difference is that the man who doesn't call her shows that he doesn't want her. I don't like teaching you guys game, right? That's not my purpose. I'm just explaining to you guys that women are helpless when it comes to romantic things and choosing the correct partner. This is assistance from men that is needed, okay? We need to become the best men that we can be and then get the best women that we can get and then give them the fantastic life and environment that they were designed to have, okay? This is our responsibility as men. Because when we end up having men who basically are feminine, meaning that they're very sexually attentive and they're very focused on getting into women's pants, when those guys are the ones that are getting all of the girls, it ruins our next generations. We can't have that happen anymore. So we need a system whereby men actually take off the best women from the marketplace and then preserve these women and give them the most fantastic life that they can get, okay? And then produce daughters and sons who understand this stuff, and then they manage to create functional families of their own in the future. The problem in today's world is that players are ruining our women. And who are players? Players are guys who manipulate women's emotions in order for them to get into bed with them, okay? Any sexual connection between a man and a woman where the man is not committed for life is a bad one. It's a bad connection. And it's a connection that most of the time, 95% if not more, will go awry, meaning it won't work out. Which means that relationship should have never been started in the first place. Whose fault is it? It's the men's fault for initiating that with women. That's what needs to change. The men need to step up. And women need to do their absolute best to not date and to not sleep with any man who's not committed to her for life. Very tricky situation because that's not the world we're living in, but that's the necessary medicine, so to speak, that needs to happen in order for us to begin to move towards a functional society again, where women are not rejected on a continual basis, where they don't become picky, where they basically enjoy their life because they've not gone through emotional baggage and trauma in the past, which is basically just compounding over time in every single woman's life these days.
What are your thoughts?
I just ain't got shit to say. I mean, it's just that it's what I see. It's what I see in some of my girls' friends, some of my friends, some of my girls' friends. And whenever we sit down and we talk, oh yeah, I got my dating and I'm like, yeah, girl, sit down. Yeah, but he did this and he did that and that. I'm like, girl, you're gonna be alone for the rest of your life. Like if you keep on going like that for little stuff, there's people that if you look at them, they don't go together, right? As a matter of fact, if you look at me and my wife, we don't technically, for what most people would look for, we do not go together. Like, I like loud ass music. She doesn't. I like bass. I like people. She doesn't. I like motorcycles. Nope. We don't watch necessarily the same shows. But raising a family ain't about the shows you watch. It ain't about the motorcycles you watch. It ain't about all, so.
You know what? It's funny because when people talk about compatibility, they talk about, oh, we share the same hobby.
Yes.
Oh, we like the same shows. But when you talk, that's fine for when you're dating. But when you think about doing something long term, your compatibility should not basically be stuff on that. It should be a matter of values. It should be a matter of vision.
Okay, I completely agree with them on that, though. It's not about hobbies or personality, okay? It's about values, like he's talking about, meaning that they have the same goals, the same vision, the same destination that they're going. We're going to establish an empire here, and the man is already making very good money, okay? A man should not even consider taking a woman out on a date or any of that sort unless he has very, very strong financial foundation, okay? Just getting men to actually have that mindset will save a lot of women's hearts and souls, okay? That's what I teach, my guys on the Men of High Value channel is voluntary celibacy until you're financially ready and you receive the stamp of approval from the rest of the Men of High Value community. Before then, you're not ready because you don't understand women. You're going to screw them over.
Me and Preach are nothing alike in terms of personality.
On every point.
Yep.
Name them. We are polar opposites on everything.
Everything.
Girls we like, on what we drive, on how we eat, on what we eat, on everything.
Yeah.
Maybe music?
And even then, there's a bit of overlap, but really not. But you know where we do have compatibility? It's values.
Yup.
Me and Preach both value integrity.
See, values will keep you together for the long term, the vast majority of the time, if the man is integral, okay? Integrity from the man and the man wanting to make it work in a romantic relationship, that's going to take the relationship further than anything else. If people say that it takes two to tango, no. It only takes the man to break or to make the relationship. The woman will follow. She's a reflection of the man. Okay? She literally will do that. Like, men are wondering sometimes, they say, oh, I did everything right, and then she cheated and left. You did not do everything right, because if you had done, she would not have cheated, nor would she have left. Okay? It is literally ignorance on the subject of female psyche that cause men to basically have those kind of results in their lives. And you as a woman, this is the Women of High Value channel, you need to understand that it actually only requires a trustworthy, integral man who loves you and who understands female psyche. The only place he's going to learn the proper understanding of female psyche is right here on the Women of High Value channel. Nowhere else have I found anywhere who teaches what I teach in terms of never ever blaming women and truly, thoroughly understanding them from top to toe and what they need from an environmental standpoint for them to be happy the vast majority of the time. We got that.
Me and Preach both value working consistently. Me and Preach both value speaking our minds, right? There's one thing I've never questioned about you. It's your integrity.
If you ask me, there's some shit going on? Yeah, we sit down, we talk about it.
And then they talk about, the thing is that with integrity in a romantic relationship, as a man, if he's not really doing what he's supposed to do, or he hasn't found, what women need, like he doesn't understand female psyche, then she might not be integral. But that's a reflection of him again, okay? Women want to be honest. Women want to be integral. Women want to do good by everyone that they're around. But it is their environment that causes them and pushes them in a certain direction to do things that are, bad, okay? But that doesn't make them bad people. It just basically is the environment that pushed them to do that. Now, obviously, women, you can use it as an excuse, but most people are not going to think the way I think, so you're going to get yourself into trouble no matter what. But in terms of one day, in the future, in the amazing society that we're going to create, women are going to be able to be free. Finally. And you'll know what? They're going to be free and unburdened, which is going to allow them to be who they truly are. Feminine, wonderful, sweet angels, because that's what women are if they're given the proper environment. All of them. All of them. Now, people don't believe me on that one, but I believe it hardcore.
We chop it up,
That's
right?
That's it.
If we think about it, we're so not alike.
No, we're not. But you know what, though? I think when it comes to a work partnership, it's perfect in a way.
Why are they talking about themselves? Like, let's talk about the women here. You guys are guys. It's a completely different story. You're two guys working together on a project, okay? You're doing great. But you got to talk about the women because their psyche is completely different to yours. You guys are not the same. Okay, it's called the opposite gender for a reason.
Oh,
yes.
As well. The goal is the same. The values are the same. The personality, polar opposites.
Exactly. When we say people should settle, it doesn't mean settle on ideas like values. It means that people are being picky about things that are not important to what a longevity of a marriage or anything like that is, right? When we say settle, it's settle for the superfluous stuff, and people are not capable of doing that. You feel what I'm saying?
Oh my God, he matches is like a black belt with brown shoes. A brown belt and black shoes ain't gonna raise a family. As a matter of fact, maybe a brown belt and black shoes will raise a family, but it doesn't help anywhere else.
Yeah. People bring up all kinds of stuff that doesn't even matter. To the longevity. Well, he's not the.
Guess what? When women use pickiness, people take that as straight hardcore facts. It's like, this is the reason why she doesn't want to date that guy. That's not the real reason why she doesn't want to date that guy. He didn't create the emotion. That's it. That's the only reason why she doesn't want to date him. But she can't just say that I didn't really feel it. She, like, when someone asks her, like, why didn't you like him? You know, people want something else than, like, I didn't really feel it. You know, because that doesn't really explain anything to anyone, right? So they're like, come on, just tell me something. Why not him? He was perfect fit for you, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, I guess that was, you know. And then they'll mention something completely superficial, something that has nothing to do with anything, like they're talking about, but that's not the real reason. It's just like when people lie, okay? They never tell you the reason why they're lying. Right? There's a reason why they lie. Okay, so they lie, they basically say something about the situation, or, you know, they lie about something, okay? But there's a real reason deep down of why they're saying something else. This is like a decoy or a distraction from the real reason that's going on. This is what women do. On a subconscious level, they might not even notice that they're doing that, but this is the reason why they're picky. It's not that they're picky, they just want to make sure that they feel it for the guy that they're going to commit to for life. Okay, now, you know, obviously we're just talking about dating here, but in general, if you don't feel it on the first date, why should they continue? Like, why should you go on a second and a third and a fourth, wasting your time when you've wasted your time tons in the past decade? Women lose years over douchebags, over players, and over guys that they wish they could be with, but they're not, right? And that's a problem. And so they don't want to waste any more time. So very quickly, first date, anything wrong, get the heck out of here. I don't want to see you again because I need to feel it. If she feels it, trust me, all the other stuff won't matter.
Hottest guy. So eventually you guys are going to stop being attractive. Well, you know what? He's not the best in bed. Guess what? Most married people don't have the wildest sex life for the most part.
Nope.
Okay. Did you notice he first talked about attraction? Okay. Now, he's not attractive. Well, he's not going to be attractive forever. You're not going to be attractive forever. Do you understand how the female brain works? Women are attracted to power. Is a man able to have power at 90 years old? You betcha. Okay, as long as he has power, she's gonna be fueled, okay, down there for some action, okay? Like, that's how women are wired. So no matter how attractive or non-attractive a man is, he might even be ugly, for crying out loud. But if he actually creates some form of a system, so to speak, where he has power, okay, and and the woman that he's with feels that power and sees that power, she's going to be attracted. No matter if she's 20, 30, 40, 50, 80 years old, women can't help it in the presence of a powerful man who seeks to be with her. Okay? So in terms of attraction, yeah, as men, we have to accept that our women are going to decline in terms of with age and less fertility, less beauty, less all that stuff, right? In a correct and proper environment, women will be healthy though. I've seen women who are 40, 50, 60 years old who look, pretty smoking hot, right? But like I'm just saying from the aspect of like health, okay? Because that's what we as men desire in women. But at the same time, like, you can be massively attracted to each other long term no matter what. Like, so I disagree on the attraction thing, because when you're committed to someone for life, you choose to be with them and you're fired up outside your brain. If you're a masculine man, you've got depth, and they were massively attracted in the past for you to commit to them, but over time they might decline in terms of age and fertility and beauty, etc. But they'll still be hot for you as a man, okay? If you're committed. And you're on semen retention, right? So, there's a lot of combinations there. But I just wanted to mention that about attraction, because people think that, oh, you're not going to be attracted to each other in marriage. Oh, great. Well, that's what we want to hear before we commit to someone for life. Oh, she's going to get ugly. Oh, great. And, she's going to get fat. And, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's not good. How are you going to motivate anyone to get into a relationship or get into marriage and commit to someone for life if you know that it's going to go downhill from there? That's not the right mindset. The right mindset is, how do we create an environment that creates happiness, joy, attraction for life, forever, okay? And that's possible scientifically, okay? You just need to know what's necessary for the environment to be amazing for that to happen. Just that rant on the attraction thing. He said something else.
You can learn.
Bed. Guess what?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
he going to stop being attractive? Well, you know what? He's not the best in bed.
He's not the best in bed. This is a problem from the aspect of men involving women sexually before they're supposed to. Okay? Men should not do that. Now, women want to have sex with the man if they actually feel it on the first date. But if they don't feel it, they don't want to have sex with the guy at all. Okay? So then no wonder they don't want to have, commit to someone for life, with their picky choices. They just don't feel it. But a guy that they feel it for, they want to immediately. Like right now. Okay? Like, But in marriage, that thing is turned off. Just so you know. For women and men. It's like, because the men are interested if, they're excited if the woman's excited. Over time, if she's not excited, then the man's kind of excitement dwindles over time. The woman's excitement, however, shuts off real quick, okay? Not only once the kids arrive, but even before that. If the man is more interested in her than she is in him, which is what's normal in a marriage, then she's going to be kind of turned off by that, and her desire is going to dwindle quite quickly in the beginning of the marriage. Within 1 to 2 years, if not immediately after the honeymoon, it's going to be gone. It's going to be over. The woman's not going to feel anything for that man ever again, unless maybe once a month, or he's famous, or she sees other women desire him, and she's like, oh, I got him, Like, those are the only times, though. It's going to be like less between 1 and 5% of her life, remaining of her life, she's going to feel desire for her man again, because of the way that monogamy is set up. However, in the system that we teach on our channel, is called 3 in Love, it's a completely different story. The woman is actually able to be in love all of the time, forever. And I believe that, okay? And the reason why is because of social proof, because she sees other women desiring her same man, and he's high value by default because multiple women desire him, etc., etc. We could talk, for hours about that. But in terms of sexual connection, that needs to be there. But this is why this should not be initiated before lifelong commitment, because the woman might be with someone that is absolutely amazing in bed, and then she commits to someone for life who maybe has everything else, but, it's not really connecting in bed, And then she's like, oh my gosh, have I committed to this for life? I used to have this, and now I have that. Oh my gosh. Women's fate is very sad once you understand how this all works. And this is why we produced this movement, is for families, and the only way to get families to work is if the woman's happy. Okay, so we're creating an environment for where the woman can be happy continuously and constantly over a long period of time, like a lifetime. Okay, and you can't make that happen with monogamy, unfortunately, right? So make sure you subscribe and begin to investigate this 3 in love concept that we teach, and investigate how the female psyche, your own psyche as a woman, functions, because it goes deeper than what you understand. Okay, and that's what we teach. Female nature is a male science.
Guess what? Most married people don't have the wildest sex life for the most part.
Nope.
How sad is that? It's facts, but how sad is that? And that's not their fault, the man and woman's fault, for the sex life not being really that exciting. You see, both of them agreed immediately. Most sex lives absolutely suck in marriage. Most sex lives absolutely suck out of marriage. Okay? So, the only times when it actually feels quite amazing is with the guy who's a player who's been sleeping around with hundreds and 200 and 300 women, who's figured out how it works, and who spends his entire awake time figuring out how the female anatomy works so that he can give mind-blowing orgasms to blah, 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 blah. And then he crushes these women because they never again find another man who's able to do what he did in bed, and she'll always be comparing him forever. Unless she has a reset button, and that reset button is 3 in love. So, as a man, if you're not committed to a woman for life, for you to have sexual intercourse with the woman, and you're trying to make it a good experience, you're doing something, like you're doing this woman a very big disfavor. Something that's going to affect her for the rest of her life, is going to affect her husband, is going to affect her kids, and it's going to affect her grandkids and great-grandkids if she doesn't manage to get over you. And that's a problem because of monogamy. Because monogamy is not going to help her to get over you. It's going to help her pine for you forever. Unless you're committed to her for life and you end up becoming her husband. Just sharing with you guys the consequences of this game that we're playing called dating.
And you can learn. You could learn together. But it's not, as long as you got your moment. It's like whenever we took that live on Instagram, and that guy was like, I think I'm boring. No, maybe you're just not complicated. That's not your thing. We don't have hobbies. We don't do anything. Are you good? Yeah. Then you good then.
Those are just bonuses. Those are just bonuses that if you have, they're great. But they're not necessary. Those are privileges. Those are luxuries.
Yeah, but he doesn't like Lil Yachty like I like Lil Yachty. Who gives a
and then we bring this up. People are like, well, I'd rather be alone than be in a toxic relationship. Let's be clear about something. A lot of people who are in quote unquote toxic relationships, I question how you marry somebody who is unbelievably toxic. Did you not know who this person was when you lived with them? Did you not know who this person was when you were starting to get with them? When you guys were making your vows? Did you not know this person? What changed after you got married?
You know what changed? Her desire changed. Before marriage, very often when people are dating, they're having sex and they're having life is great, right? Or if life wasn't great, then they wouldn't commit to each other for life, right? Or begin to move in with each other or whatever. The problem is that he committed for life. And the moment he committed for life, his options decrease because his option is now stick with her, leave her. And that's it. And a man who's committed to a woman for life doesn't want to leave her because she ends up taking all of the assets, or half of them, or more, and he becomes poor as a result. And he also likes his kids, so he wants to stick around, and he wants this family to work. So he doesn't have any options, okay? The woman, however, she's the one who uses that option of leaving very often, okay? But the problem is that she had desire before they entered into lifelong commitment. Now he has a lack of options, which means that he has less power than he had before they got together in the first place. Which means that the woman now, because she's attracted to power, she's going to now be less sexually interested, in many ways not sexually interested at all. This is where the man very often becomes toxic. Okay? So, no, the woman did not know what kind of man she got into a relationship with, of what happens when they're together for life in monogamy. She did not see that man because she was sexually interested in him before that marriage. But once she got into that marriage and he lost all power, and she now begins to become naggy, non-sexual, and difficult to live with, he's going to be toxic, or he's going to respond in kind to her. And because he's feminine, he's going to escalate all of the battles that she starts, all of the shit tests that she's going to give him. He's going to respond with the fiery furnace because he's a girl, right? And he's going to escalate, and then she's going to escalate, and then he's going to escalate, right? They're both she's. And then they're both going to escalate until eventually they don't want to live together because it's a toxic relationship and we're not meant to be together, and I hope I find someone else very quickly and fine, you know. The problem is desire. The problem is the sexual aspect. That's the problem, okay? This is one of the biggest reasons why women should only have one man for the rest of her life, okay? It's a very bad strategy for women to have initiated sexual relationships. And it's not them who initiate, it's the men who initiate that with the women. But it's a very bad idea that we as a society make it so that women have multiple sexual partners before they commit to someone for life. Because this problem is created. More toxic relationship is created as a result, not less.
And what you come to realize is that it's not generally relationships that are toxic. It's not marriages that are toxic. It's the expectations going in. People find out that the quote unquote labor that you have to put in is not fun.
How do you know that it's going to be horrible in monogamy? Like, people think that it's the end of all their problems, but it's like a rope where you basically ask which end of your problems because it's probably going to be the beginning of your problems. That's what monogamy is. That's what marriage looks like. And this is why men are opting out of the marriage, arrangement. There's no benefits other than kids. And having a family that kind of gives you some consistency and could potentially give you sexual access, very often it does not. And if it does, it's a lot less than what you could have had if you were by yourself. But at least it's legit. If you're sleeping, as a man, if you're sleeping with anyone outside of lifelong commitment, you're an a-hole. Because you either are ignorant of what the consequences that it brings on women, or and you're doing it on purpose, right? So, but you're still an a-hole as a man. If you do sleep with women outside of committed lifelong relationships. What was I going with this? Yes, the expectation. No one knows, because everyone who's in a marriage, kind of elevates marriage. They're like, oh, you should find someone and settle down just like we did and become miserable. This is it's so funny. I was speaking to my wife yesterday. I was just like, I'm such a negative Nancy when it comes to monogamy. And I'm just like, and I rethink it. I'm like, people need to know what happens. People need to know how it looks like, because no one is telling them. Why? Because as a society, we need families to function. But if there are no families, there's no functional families, right? So everyone's encouraging people to get married, especially conservative media. Go get married, go get married, go get married. Including these guys, right? But there's all these problems that come with marriage. Now, is it better to have someone and have these problems than to be by yourself? In many aspects, yes. But this entire system that has been designed by the Roman, Empire in the early, years after the birth of Jesus, this was like during that time, that's when monogamy came into place. Although traditionally, multiple women with one man had been the norm, the entire, history of our entire race, right? And now suddenly we're trying this experiment just a few hundred years after Jesus' birth. Let's try monogamy, because there's an excellent way to control men, because they'll be controlled by their lust for their women, and the women will control the man, and we as the government can control the women. And if we can control the women, then we control everyone. So this is a genius system. That's what monogamy is. But 3 in Love, that we're now, putting back on the map, although it's with new colors and everything is fantastically redesigned, so to speak. It is according to what we need, because it allows men and women to finally understand what they can expect. And we have quite high expectations, yes. So Will it be possible that people entering into 3 in Love will have too high expectations of what's possible in 3 in Love? If they're actually applying the things that we teach, then those expectations will be realized. 3 in Love is an amazing lifestyle for those that are prepared. If you're not prepared and you enter into it without receiving a stamp of approval, it will be an absolute mess. So the man must have massive financial security, and he must have a stamp of approval by the rest of the men of high value system. So, but yeah, expectations going into marriage, it's a tough one because no one tells you.
It's not roses. It's not the wedding ceremony.
Me as a woman, I don't think that I was necessarily prepared or in the mindset to know that. It's almost like once you get into it, then you're like, oh shoot, like this is what I'm going to have to keep up with.
I get that.
Us speaking as 36-year-old people know that now.
Your wedding is one day.
Yup.
Your marriage is the rest. And the marriage is labor. The wedding is that one day. When the cake is cut, the dress is worn, and the flowers are faded, you have marriage. And now you have to work on that.
BS. Okay? Now, most people will agree. Most relationship experts will listen to that and say, yes, of course. Marriage is hard work. You got to work on it. What if I told you, imagine a world where love actually doesn't require work? If you actually go back to your teenage years where you fell in love for the first time, how much work went into that infatuation, into that puppy love? How much work? It happened to you, didn't it? So if it happened to you, how much, work did you put into it? Nothing. Okay, so when people talk about how marriage is supposed to be hard work, they're obviously stating the obvious, which is what happens in monogamy, where two people that are going against their nature, the woman is becoming a man because she has to be disciplined and focused and put in a lot of hard work, while the man has to now spend a lot of time with his woman and in an egalitarian sort of way, meaning he has to be a mother too, and he has to take care of kids, he has to help out in the household, and he can't work and be as disciplined and focused as he's supposed to be as a man. So he ends up becoming a woman. So both of them are going against their nature simply from the concept of monogamy. Woman becoming a man, man becoming a woman. And when we do that, I know that when I become a woman, I'm unhappy, okay? When my wife becomes a man, she's unhappy. When we live according to our gender roles where I'm the man and she's the woman, okay, and we live according to that, then we can be as happy as we can be in monogamy. But it requires hard work. That's sick. That's the norm, in my opinion. In 3 in Love, it doesn't require hard work, okay? It literally, and if it does, it's by the man, okay? The man is the one who has to take the massive brunt of responsibility and duties in 3 in Love because he actually has to go out and get those millions of dollars, which he's responsible for, by the way. And then he has to take the massive blame for anything and everything that goes wrong in the household, which makes him the one who suffers. But you know that with the suffering comes great benefits, right? Who wouldn't want to have 3 women to provide for and who are fired up outside their brain about you? Like, every man would want that if he understands it, and he'll be motivated, so which means that the hard work that he actually has to do is not even hard work. It's fun. It's motivating. He's fired up outside his brain because when he comes home, his women are going to be fired up outside their brain to be with him. Okay, so the women, they have a lot of work to do, obviously, because they got kids, and obviously it's going to be a lot less kids than what women think this looks like. Okay, I say 1 child per woman per 8 years. So that would be 3 kids every 8 years or so. So in total, in my opinion, should probably be max 6 kids, 9 if you're lucky, okay? But I'd say 6 kids should be more than enough for a 3 in Love family. So the women are actually unburdened at all times and all places. Yes, they do the domestic work. Yes, they, take care of the kids. Yes, they go out into nature. But the vast majority of the time, there's no rejection. They're just fired up outside their brain. Well, where's the hard work? There is no hard work in 3 in Love. The hard work comes before, in preparation for 3 in Love, so that can be amazing forever.
That day is gone.
Yep.
You have to work, and it's work. It's work. Don't sit there and think that it's not work and everything is easy. You got to work. You got to be able to. You have to be willing to put the work. And that's the thing.
It's a lot.
When
of
you
labor.
stop putting
A lot of labor.
stop putting the effort, that's when it's just like, yeah.
If two people come in and say they're going to put in the effort, they're going to put in the labor, right? And they're not disillusioned about what I think one of the biggest disservice that we have in our society today is that married people and our parents' generation didn't give us a very honest look at what marriage is supposed to look like.
Why? Because they wanted you to get married because they wanted grandkids, okay? What are they going to say? Don't get married, son, because if you get married, man, you're going to have to suck it up and you're going to have to struggle and it's going to be horrible and blah, 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 blah. They didn't tell you of all the problems. They were protecting you as a child. Even as a teenager, they're not going to tell you about their marriage problems if they can manage to avoid telling you that, right? So obviously, they're not going to give you the expectation of how marriage actually is supposed to look like, especially if theirs was a failed marriage. Okay, so it's a bad idea to take marriage advice from someone who struggled. You need to take marriage advice from someone who actually is fired up outside their brain. Now, in monogamy, you won't find very many of them. There are a few that have kind of mastered the skills of relationships, and the woman is so unburdened, and the man has so much power that it seems to be actually working. And the vast majority of the time, maybe they're actually pretty happy. They might be 7 or 8s, but imagine if those people have had 3 in love. Like, their brains would like be, wow. At least that's my opinion.
They let the media fill those ideas in for us because oftentimes our parents were either divorced or more concerned with their own interests and their own well-being, right? So the media filled in our ideas of what a marriage is supposed to look like because most of us, a lot of us didn't grow up with that example in our lives. That's why people who come from married households where things were relatively healthy are far more likely to be married than people who didn't, right?
Yeah.
Because their example is based off of something firm. They saw their parents. So if you take people from third world countries, right? Most folks from like South Asia are going to end up married and stay married for most of their life. Why? Because of what they saw when they were growing up. They had a real look at what it was supposed to look like. You know what I'm saying? Whereas everyone else, when I talk to people about marriages and what like a lifelong commitment is supposed to look like, they talk about love and they talk about, you know, happiness and all these other things. And
Aren't those the two most important components of a fantastic life? Love and happiness? And now they're telling us, no offense to Aba and Preach, they're absolutely awesome. Their channel is amazing. I'm just completely scrutinizing all of the stuff for you so you can understand, to think big, understand how the world truly works. If you understand the woman, you'll understand the world. You understand the woman, you'll understand yourself, you'll understand happiness, you'll understand love, you'll understand what it takes for you to be fired up outside your brain on a continual basis. Okay, that's what I want for you guys, okay? And when he says that love and happiness is not the most important thing in marriage, then what the heck is marriage for? Okay? I want to be happy. That's why I enter into a relationship with the woman. Okay? I want that to be a fantastic experience, a feeling, right? And if I don't have those feelings, then what the freak? Okay, like then it's not what I signed up for. This is how the female psyche works. They thought that they were going to be happy. They're not happy in monogamy, and so they believe that something is wrong with the partner that they have, but it's not the freaking partner. It's the monogamy system. Because men, when they're feminine, they're quite simple. If they get what they need, the respect, sexual love, worship, all of the stuff that a woman can't discipline herself to do on a continual basis if he's a slob and an a-hole, okay? If she continues to try and give this to him, he'll be happy. But at some point, she's gonna snap, okay? At some point, she can't be submissive anymore because she can't take it any longer because men don't care. And as long as they get everything that they need, a man will not do anything more than he has to do. Okay? Men are lazy by nature unless they're motivated outside their brain to do what needs to get done. Okay? So, but monogamy is not that exciting. And a woman by herself cannot create that excitement in a man all on her own. He needs to have a vision of himself for himself, if that makes sense. Okay, so tricky situation, isn't it? Yes. But it's not tricky once we understand how this functions and how 3 in love is important in all this.
I'm like, but do you understand that's just a byproduct or reward of something else? Do you understand that's a byproduct of duty, of responsibility, of labor? Do you not understand? Like, that's the things you should be thinking about.
You see that? Duty, responsibility. Is that masculine or feminine? It's masculine. Love and happiness. Masculine or feminine? Love and happiness is an emotion. Emotion, feminine. Okay? So men are supposed to feel love and happiness as well, of course. But that comes as a result of duty and responsibility. Women, on the other hand, the duties and responsibilities for them come as a natural result of them being unburdened. If a woman is unburdened, she'll run towards fulfilling her duties and responsibilities because she wants to impress her man. That's a correct relationship setting where a woman is fired up outside her brain to perform her duties and responsibilities because she's unburdened. He's provided the environment for that, and she's happy. She's excited, and she sees other people's needs, including her kids, and she provides them and fulfills their needs naturally, without even question. Okay? The problem comes when she has no longer any capacity because she's been drained of her nurturing feminine spirit. That's an issue, and that's the man's fault. It is the man's fault that monogamy is the norm in the world today, by the way. It's not women's fault. Women are wired to want monogamy because they think that that's what they want, because they want to be elevated, and they, but they weren't designed for it. Because if they were designed for it, then they would be in love with their partner forever with no effort. Okay, it would happen to them. But monogamy, for whatever reason, the way that we've been created, women don't feel that way in monogamy. So they're fish out of water, and fish out of water, they die slowly but surely. Okay? And that's what happens to women emotionally if they don't get the environment that they need. Okay? So does that mean you run out and get three in love? No. Okay? You need to understand how it works. You need to receive the stamp of approval as a man. And for women, you need to stick around this environment. Okay? I'm telling you, it's probably the most important channel that you've ever watched in your entire life, because it's going to give you the joy, bliss, and happiness that you can potentially have for life, forever. The person that you choose to be with for life is the most important decision that you'll ever make, which means that the information that I'm giving to you here right now is the most important information that you've had your entire life. More important than your college degrees, more important than, how to tie your shoes, okay? Like, seriously, like, this is the prime of information. And to understand how this works, wow. Like, I'm excited, okay? If I'm excited, you should be excited.
Or you should be thinking about the process. When they're talking about, like, there's responsibilities, like a duty within, like, marriage to sex and all this stuff within another.
Yeah.
Remember that black couple?
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, me at 24, I didn't know what a marriage entailed. I didn't know what it would be like to raise kids. I didn't know what, like, giving birth, how it would affect my body, all these things. And it makes you realize most people are never given these real examples, and
they don't think about that, and it's not talked about.
No,
it's not talked about. They don't know about it. They just, you know what, I'm gonna go into this, and it's all flowers and everything and stuff. Especially,
no one talks about their sexual relationship outside of their marriage. It's taboo. It's a secret that's supposed to be kept within the bedroom, and in many ways, it's supposed to be like that in order to so that there's no awkwardness, and also, like, you don't talk about stuff outside the bedroom. However, you can talk about general principles of what's going on, and the the lackluster aspect of the vast majority of marriages, and general principles you can explain. But most people are not willing to face the facts of what's going on in their marriage, because what's their option? Like, they can't be negative about their marriage, because then their partner is going to complain about it. Okay, like women are never going to complain about their marriage to other people unless they're put on the spot somewhere with their husband, and they begin to have a discussion in front of other people, like that black couple. Actually, I forgot to do a reaction on them. They're talking about something really cool, but I'll do that soon.
It's for 25. It's a status. You like the status. Hey, I'm married. Yes, I got a husband. I got a whole ring. You should have put a ring on it if you like it, or whatever the hell she sings. Yeah. It's the status. And at 24, 25, it really sounds good, but it's much more than a status. It's more than that. It's work. You got to work. You got to be able to be willing to work. And you have to know that a lot of things change. It's not going to stay like that the whole time,
Women are usually the ones who leave the marriages. It's sort of like the men are happy in their marriages, and women don't realize that they're the ones who are often dissatisfied. And when this researcher that I spoke...
Real quick. Men are okay with settling. There's a big difference between men are happy in their marriages and they're okay. Life is good. It's for men, like that. What's the alternative? For a man, he loves his kids, he loves his wife, she's his best friend, and he wants this to continue. So why would he ever complain and say that, oh, wife, you absolutely suck, and I can't believe that you're not doing this for me, etc., etc. So in general, men are happy in their relationships. Happy, what is happy? Well, 6 or 7. That's nice, you know? Most people are mediocre, okay? Most people choose to live an average middle-class lifestyle, okay? I'm not one of those people. I don't like that kind of stuff. I want to think big. I want to think multi, conglomerates. I'm thinking huge. I'm thinking, the world, universe, that type of mentality. And that's not mediocre. So as a man, I'm not okay with what she describes as happy, because I know that the vast majority of men in marriages are not happy, okay? But they put that out to their woman. Like, why would they tell their woman that they're unhappy? That's just going to backfire massively, and they've learned to shut up, okay? So men, that's how it works in monogamy. And women, what did she say?
Marriages, and women don't realize that they're the ones who are often dissatisfied. And when this researcher that I spoke to looked at people who were getting divorced, it turned out that the women rated their marriages as 7s, not like 3 or 4, as 7s. And
how interesting.
They would say things like, "I love him, but I'm not in love with him anymore." And the men were devastated because they thought the marriage was just fine.
Right, because they're not asking for as much.
Right. Well, they have high expectations, but they're realistic about what one human being can provide.
Yes.
I think the individual.
You see that? So they're unhappy in their marriages, but they rated their marriages 7s instead of 3 and 4. So quite happy, I guess. Hey, but half of them still get a divorce, so it's not really 7, is it?
Individual has lost sight of what it means to be part of a collective, and has lost the ability to understand that, like, sometimes my little wants have to take a backseat because I'm striving for something bigger.
It's so funny listening to guys basically talking about the feminine aspect of life, which is the collective, which is the group, and that we should put our needs on the back burner for the collective, because that's what's most important. That's a feminine philosophy. I'm completely for it. I don't disagree. But isn't it funny that women are beginning to think more and more me, 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 while men are beginning to think we need to think as a group, we need to think as a collective, and they become socialists as well. While women are, and it's just funny to me because men are becoming women and women are becoming men. But in general, yes, men, if they manage to create an amazing environment for women, women would think about the collective. It's just that men don't do that. So men end up thinking about the collective because the women are thinking me, me, me. But it's not women's fault that they're thinking me, me, me. They're thinking that as a natural result of not being properly provided for and protected. And it's the man's fault.
Like, Preach, if I was trying to stay axed and fixate on everything I wanted out of my work life, you and I would never be working together.
No,
and vice
absolutely.
versa.
Vice versa.
I got
Absolutely.
my vices. You know what I'm saying? I got my vices. But you sometimes have to put your wants on the back burner because you guys, as a collective, as a unit, are striving for something bigger.
I just know this, that I'm more powerful with other people. I know that, you know what I mean? On my flag, it's written l'union fait la force, which the union is our power, and that's what it is. So I'm ready to, you know what? Peep game. That word, settling, it has such a bad rap. It's people, when you hear settling, you know what they hear? They hear give up. Mm-hmm. When they say, no, you should settle. You settle. Oh, I gave up. That's what they hear. In the back of their head, that's what they hear. When you say to someone, oh, yeah, you're settling down. I didn't settle. Me? Never. They hear you gave up. Mm-hmm. It has a bad rap in the connotation of people's brain and the way the words work. Settling down has a bad rap. So whenever you say you should settle down, no, I'm never going to give up. That's what they hear. And that's what it is. That's the problem, is the perception that they have of what settling is. Mm-hmm. Settling is just a thing. Mm-hmm. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a thing. No. Okay. And then after that, how you settle and the context, which is very important, is going to determine whether it's good or bad. But it's not inherently good or bad. It's just a thing. But people, you say settle, automatical bad.
The aspect of settling for a woman, she doesn't really choose that herself. Okay? A woman doesn't choose to settle or to not settle. Her emotions won't ever settle. Women are not designed to settle. They don't give up, women, okay? The only time they'll give up is if they have no capacity and there's nothing left. Okay, if their fuel, their tank is completely drained and they're operating on fumes, that's the only times when women are gonna give up. I can't do this anymore. Okay, that's what happens. But if they have anything left in the tank, you better believe that women never, ever, ever give up. Okay, which means that they don't want to settle, which is a good thing because that, if women settled, then we would still be living in caves. Okay? Because women are the reason, and there's tons of people who are saying that men are the ones who built civilizations and men did this and men did that. Really? Okay? The only reason why they did that is because men wanted the worship of women. Okay? And women wanted greater things. And women wanted this and that, and they compare themselves to other people and they look at, look what they have. I want that too. And this is how we've progressed as a society for men. It's a beautiful system that's put in place where we've automatically progressed as a society and as humankind, because men are interested in women, and women are interested in massive growth and progression and momentum, and for their man to have power. So it's men. If you put men and women together, it's an amazing team. Okay, it's not that men built civilizations; they would never have done it without women. Okay, so, but we need to figure out what's the best system in order for us to continue to build civilization instead of tearing it down, because that's what's happening right now.
Gave up.
And I think people have this idea that if they're going to settle, they're going to be inherently unhappy. It's like, no.
Yeah, because they gave up.
Some of the greatest things in life come from compromise. Mm-hmm. Some of the greatest things in life. Things that you have to say, you know what, I'm going to just swallow my pride. Let me see where this thing goes. I'm going to put in the work. And you come out on the other end, and it gives you benefits and rewards that you never could have had otherwise without having to sacrifice some things.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't like the word compromise, okay? Compromise means that there's a loser. That, at least this is my experience, okay? Like when I make a business deal, or if I'm making I always want to find a win-win situation. Compromise means, oh, okay, well, I guess I could take less because of, okay, I understand the aspect of, you can lose the battle to win the war. There's nothing wrong with losing the battle as long as we win the war. Okay, so if that's what is meant by the word compromise, okay, I get it. Lose the battle, win the war. Fantastic, let's do that. But that's a win-win eventually, right? But in marriage, like compromise very often means that the man steps down. And the woman basically makes decisions. I mean, I explained that in the Woman is Always the Head of the Household video. If you haven't checked that one out, I recommend it. But yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Maybe my partner isn't the best looking partner I could have had. But guess what? When I come home at night, this person holds me down. When I'm doing a successful thing, they always there.
Yeah.
Do you dig what I'm saying? It's okay. It's okay. The best things in my life has always come from settling and compromise. It's not for me to say, I will never. You got to compromise. That doesn't mean you compromise on everything, but on the things that are really not that important, if you're being honest with yourself, which are just linked to your ego. At some point, you have to be honest, like, why am I holding on to this thing? It's not even necessary, but I'm pretending and treating it like it is, and it's holding me back. I will not work at a job that doesn't have the prestige, but it pays better than the job that has the prestige. Yeah, I won't work there. All right, then don't. Maybe you can't brag about it to your friends like your doctor friend can. But guess what? Maybe that job would have been happier. Gave you more flexibility, more autonomy, more choices over what you wanted to do. But you won't do that because of your ego. Is that something to be respected, to be revered? One thing I loved about being where I'm from is like...
So, anyway, there's a lot of great things in this video, but I'll cut it short here. I hope that you guys get the gist of what I'm talking about here. We're talking about a completely new, revolutionized way of thinking. That actually being in love is fantastic. Lust is fantastic within the four walls of a committed relationship, right? And staying in love is actually possible. You just need to have the environment for the woman that's necessary for her to be in love and stay in love forever. And that's a science, and that can easily be applied if you understand what it needs and you actually, apply the things that she needs, and you've built that up sustainably so that she can have that forever. Okay, so you don't want instant gratification and then to be taken away, because that's even worse. Life is amazing, but it can be way more amazing than you think. Okay, and when I talk about, negatively about monogamy or marriage or relationships or men or whatever it is that I talk negatively about, understand that I have a flip side where I look at every single situation as a positive thing, as an opportunity, because everything is created so that we can be fired up outside our brains. The future is bright. The future is clear if you understand the things that are taught on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are absolutely amazing as always, and I'll see you in the next one.